Good morning, everyone. Jim Clark here at the Synchronicity Sanctuary here in Central Virginia to share a contemplative focus with you on this fine Monday morning, it's morning here anyway. And the contemplation that I want to put a focus on today is the present moment always holds a presence, and that presence is the truthful you. So what this is pointing to is that one, we experience whatever we experience in the here and now of that experience itself. And as we have our experiences, we also have a presence that's with us always. It's the real us, the sourceful us, the sourceful me, the sourceful you. But are we aware of this? Are we actually coming from this presence? Or is it something that's just a concept, something that we would like to get, something we would like to know, or something that we don't even believe in? So the meditators throughout history and in all the traditions have always sought to discover and experience and to maintain this presence, their true self, the expression that they were before they took birth and the expression that they will be after their life. Often referred to in the Zen tradition as the original face, and that is the sourceful presence that is forever. So with this in mind, let's just take a look at some of the tools we have today. Let's see what's available to use for our own exploration. So we know that everything happens in a moment we call the now of our existence, and that this now, the moment of our life, of our living experience as being human, unfolds in a moment-to-moment process, a moment that is very powerful, a moment that comes, rises up, expresses itself, and then yields to another moment. We never know what one moment will do in relation to another. And yet, our experience of life is filtered through a mind for most people, and a mind simply cannot see the present. A mind cannot directly experience life. It's always interpreting life. It's interpreting experience, and it's basing its interpretations upon whatever the belief system is that you hold, that you acquired in your life, the belief system that you have about yourself, the belief system you have about life in general, and on and on and on. That's the filter and the gauge that you are going to see life through as long as you're coming from a mind, a busy mind that's weighing and judging and trying to survive. Because living through a mind is a fear-based experience simply because it doesn't have the experience of being what it truly is. You can have that experience with the tools of today, with the same process that people have throughout history used to discover the truth of themselves and to bring themselves into the experience of that truth, to maintain that truth and to integrate that truth until not only they know themselves as the truth of who they are, but the world around them is also that same truth. And this is really what we're all here for. We are expressions of consciousness experiencing itself in what we call the creation game, where we begin in the pretense of who we are not, and eventually bringing ourselves to realize the truth of who we are and the truth of what life is. This is the mastery of the human experience. And the tools that we have for this, of course, are meditation. Unlike the meditative processes that began thousands of years ago when there was minimal technology, and it was a long process that involved yogic practices to develop a base that could sustain a meditative experience. You had to develop the balance, what we call balance, mentally, emotionally, and physically, so that you could have a mind that was still, you could have emotions that were quiet, and that your perception of the subtle within yourself was able to come into your awareness. And when that came into your awareness, then you would further learn how to guide and grow that subtle part of yourself, the energies that you are, in such a way that you became more aware of who you are and what life is as you would go. But first you had to be able to be in a meditative state, maintain a meditative state, being wakeful, being wide awake and very present in the moment, in all moments. And as you were, the truth of who you are and what life is would unfold experientially for you, and then you would know what that is, even though you might not be able to say it in words. This has always been a difficult process for all people who are first starting to meditate, or for whatever their reasons they're getting an interest in meditation. They're getting interested in exploring more about life, because words can point to the truth, but for you to know that truth, you must have a direct experience of that truth. And the mind cannot do that. But it's a busy mind by default, and we often misinterpret the mind and the ego as something that we have to get rid of, or something that's bad, something that's we have to negate in order to reach some deeper truth of who we are. And this creates a process where we're actually in a battle with ourselves. We want to get rid of our ego, we want to get rid of our mind, and yet, for all our efforts to do so, this will only lead to a busier mind. It will lead to a more negative experience. It will actually amplify the fear-based experience of trying to live in a world that's a threatening world, a fear-based world. Because the mind is actually a part of our experience as being human beings, and it's also in existence. And if it's in existence, it's obviously something that was created by the same consciousness that we are. And if that's so, we must cultivate the ability to perceive it for what it really is, as well as we must perceive ourselves for who we truly are. And this is a process that requires not just meditation, but also some guidance, because traditionally speaking, there was always someone that had a very strong presence, for one thing, and their presence was often what helped the people around them to meditate. And with that presence, they also had experience. They had journeyed the journey, they had mastered themselves to one degree or another, and to that extent, they could provide a guidance for all the people that were with them. The master-disciple relationship. That is historically the way to enlightenment. And enlightenment, of course, is simply becoming aware of who you are and what life is. So, to be real, we must build a bridge that does not, a bridge of direct experience of reality, whatever that is. And to do that requires a meditative lifestyle, which we call the holistic lifestyle, wherein meditation as a primary tool of building balance is practiced daily, and wherein the rest of your life is also built around preserving and encouraging more and more development, supporting the meditative experience, where you become increasingly more subtle in your awareness, and the subtler yet powerful experiences that you have of yourself and of your world can only be maintained in a physical body if the physical body is sustained in such a way that it can handle the energies. And this is what I was confronted with when I first started to meditate. I read books. I followed the directions that I was given in books, and started to sit down. I did yoga. I changed my diet. I basically withdrew from the world around me and practiced breathing. And I did have experiences. I was able to meditate. There's no doubt about that. But to what degree and how often and how deeply, that was an aspect of my early days that was helter-skelter, I would say. There was very little that was consistent. One day I would have a very powerful experience in my meditation, and then it seemed like for a long time afterwards that would not happen. It would just be me struggling with my mind, struggling with my emotions, trying to keep my body still, trying to keep everything still, and go into some experience of something more subtle than the physical level of my life. And then eventually I came across a meditative tool called high-tech meditation, which is what we here at Synchronicity do, which was created by the founder of Synchronicity Foundation. And that technology changed the course of my direction big time. With it, I was able to effortlessly go into a meditative state. And with that, the rest of it was simply using it. Instead of struggling for days, sometimes hours, sometimes just moments, but never knowing and being able to continuously create a consistent meditative experience within a reasonable time frame with the lifestyle that we live here in the West, that was all gone. I would listen to the soundtrack, I would go into a meditative state, boom, there I was. And I still use this technology today, and the presence that is present in the here and now moment in my life is a validation of the effectiveness of this technology. It was created to create masters. It was created for the world that we live in today, a busy world, a world that is being flooded with information like never before, food for a busy mind, and it works. So the present moment always holds a presence, which is true. But the question is, are we aware of that presence? Are we aware that we are that presence? Are we fully in the experience of being the truth of who we are and being present as the source that we are in this world here and now? And are we viewing the world around us as that same presence, as that same source? One that we can celebrate, one that we can communicate with, one that we can hold in our hearts. That's the question. So I think that's pretty much it for this Monday morning. The present moment is holding a presence here and now, in me, in you, in all and everything. And that presence is the truth of who we all are. And it would be my wish that we would all not only share the awareness, but share the celebration of it together.